Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. Adventures of one obsessed nutrition coach on a mission to create a world where food makes us better. Today, guys, we are dedicating our episode to the foods that do make us better and foods that are most Americans and actually many other nations too, according to the latest statistics. People are deficient in these nutrients, and these nutrients are quite essential, just like many other nutrients actually for our health. It's not like we need some nutrients more or some less. It just for some reasons, because how our food system evolved, we tend to be deficient in some nutrients more than in others. And some nutrients, it's not, our body is just not able to make or somehow store more. And those nutrients are involved in hundreds and hundreds of different reactions. And when we are lacking these nutrients, our body just doesn't function as well as it could. Like if you take vitamin D, it seems from all the data that we have that whenever our immune system is fighting something like, for example, COVID-19 or simple flu or any other infection or whatever our immune system perceives as being a threat. So whenever our immune system is fighting something, it uses vitamin D. And the more threats our immune system thinks it has, the more vitamin D it uses. And so what is scary about that is that a lot of people, even people who live in countries along the equator, like Southeast Asia or Latin America, many African countries, like even those countries where there is more than enough sun to get all the vitamin D that we need, even in those countries, because of our sedentary, closed-in lifestyle, people tend not to have enough vitamin D in their system. And again, from all the data that recently came out, it seems that the more people lack vitamin D, for example, the more severe cases of COVID-19 they have. And it doesn't mean that causes, for people to get infected in the first place, but it does seem from all the data that the more we are deficient in vitamin D, for example, the more severe our sickness can be, and the more time it's going to take for us to recover, and the more serious negative health consequences we might carry after we recover. So back to our question that I got from social media: what are some nutrients that most Americans are deficient in? So those nutrients are A, D, E, and C. Those are vitamins. So A, D, E, and C. By the way, A, D, and C specifically crucial for our immune system. Calcium, magnesium, choline, potassium, and dietary fiber. So those nutrients are nutrients of concern that quite a lot of people, 50 to 90% of people, depending on different age groups, depending on exact location, seem to be deficient in these nutrients around the globe. And it actually, the problem is, guys, is not that those nutrients are somehow super hard to get. No, the problem is that people these days tend to eat so much processed stuff just because there is so much available and there is no guidance of what is actually balanced diet and why one needs to be on a balanced diet. So the problem is most people eating a lot of those processed foods that lose most of their nutrients naturally occurring. And so those processed foods crowd out the foods that are whole and rich in nutrients. So for example, let's take vitamins A and D, crucial for our immune system. Again, want to stress that more. Eating liver will cover you with all the vitamin A you need. That's like the best source. That, by the way, our body can store in our fat tissue for quite a long time, for many, many months. And again, it's easy to eat in liver. Have one liver meal a week and you'll be more than covered with vitamin A. I don't even understand why people are so deficient in vitamin A. It's so abundant. It just shows us how screwed up our diet is. In natural situation, like where our grandparents were before they started eating all the processed stuff and all the flours instead of like vegetables and all the variety of animal products. Anyhow, so you would eat enough vitamin A, because also, for example, you can find a lot of beta carotene that our body can make into vitamin A that we need. So you would eat a lot of it from things like carrots. Just 100 grams of good carrots with a healthy digestive system will give you plenty of vitamin A per day. And then things like spinach also have vitamin A, beta carotene, to be exact, sweet potatoes, orange pumpkins. So anyhow, for vitamin A, for human form of vitamin A, animal form, eat any sorts of liver once a week. I would suggest eating like 7-8 ounces per week. Herring and salmon, great sources of vitamin D, especially herring. Herring is actually much richer in vitamin D than salmon, guys. And plus, much richer in omega-3 fatty acids, by the way, guys. So 3-4 ounces of herring a day will give you about 140-150% of your vitamin D. So if you decide to, eat herring for vitamin D, I would eat it like 3-4 ounces 3 times a week or so. Cod liver oil is even better solution because it gives you a lot of vitamin A and D. 1 tablespoon will give you somewhere around a week of all of those nutrients, depending on the oil itself. I eat cod liver itself, not the oil, but the actual liver. Vitamin C, really easy to eat from bell pepper, red bell pepper, one a day. 1 raw bell pepper, medium size, will give you about 250-300% of your vitamin C per day. But by the way, guys, vitamin C, you need to eat it daily because it's water soluble, and what it means is our body uses it, and what it doesn't use, it usually removes with water whenever we pee it out. So eat your vitamin C several times a day. That's how a lot of health professionals and nutritionists recommend to use it. Eat bell pepper, but also other great sources really rich in vitamin C: strawberries, frozen and fresh, kiwis. After that, I would put oranges after bell peppers and strawberries and kiwis. And then broccolis and Brussels sprouts will also give you plenty, as so leafy greens. Calcium. Great source of calcium: canned fish with bones, because that's where calcium is, to be exact, guys. Canned sardines, canned salmon, canned herring, a lot of those fish are canned with bones, and that's where you get quite a lot of calcium, the most absorbable form, without any negative effects, just the positive. Bone meal supplements. So bone meal supplements basically means somebody took some sort of bones and made them into powder, and that is a great supplement to have for calcium, the best actually. You can find it usually on the website or physical stores of like paleo stores or stores with natural supplements. Another great source of calcium is hard cheese like Parmesan. It's actually probably the richest dairy when it comes to calcium. Sesame seeds and seeds like flax, like chia, but especially sesame, guys, really high in calcium. Magnesium, also a lot of people are deficient in, and it is so crucial, so important for energy production, for sleep, for DNA replication, for to repair damage. Oxidative stress like magnesium is super important, and most people are deficient because guess what, guys? You can find it in things like dark leafy greens like spinach or collard and mustard greens, or nuts like cashews and almonds, or seeds, flax, pumpkin, chia, fatty fish like salmon and legumes. All these foods, it's quite a big list, but as I said, the problem is most people are not eating those foods. They eat foods like, maybe you are eating these foods too. I used to be there for sure. Foods like cereals with highly processed with a lot of sugar. Foods like some sandwiches or burgers or like fried, what do you call them? Like I forgot already. Potatoes, French fries. That's what you call them. I haven't had one in a while, so don't even remember the name. So yeah, magnesium is found in many foods that our society decided to not eat a lot, and that's why so many people are deficient, and that's why so many different diseases and disorders, if you're not getting what your body needs, you're gonna get broken. That's just how it goes. Choline, another super important, especially for our brain, especially for our nervous system. Choline, you might not even have heard about it, and you can only find it in considerable amounts in eggs, whole eggs, and liver. And again, most people never have those foods. Potassium, spinach, dark leafy greens, avocados, bananas, salmon, a lot of nuts and seeds. So if you eat a lot of variety of those foods, also, some tubers like potatoes, some legumes, if you eat a variety of those foods, you're done with potassium. But most people, again, are too heavy on processed foods. Fiber, well, for me, it's like the easiest thing to describe. Vegetables, fruit, nuts and seeds, legumes, tubers like potatoes and sweet potatoes and yams, all the non-refined plant foods. As you can see, a lot of those nutrients are not that hard to get, guys. But if you are eating a lot of processed foods, you are not eating a lot of whole foods, and that means you're not eating a lot of nutrients that a lot of Americans and other nations are deficient in. And specifically, COVID-19 note, guys, pay special attention to nutrients like A, D, C, those are vitamins, and zinc, because that seems to be almost direct correlation between how deficient one is in those nutrients, vitamins A, D, C, and zinc, and how severe and how often those people get sick and how severe the cases are. So make sure to consume especially foods rich in A, D, C, and zinc. So supplements, when it comes to supplements, all the studies show that supplements do not come even close to being as effective as whole foods, guys. So eat your vitamins and minerals in foods. Use supplements as supplements, meaning not as your main food source. Just make sure that you understand that supplements are nowhere near as good as whole foods. And especially one nutrient I want to focus more on, vitamin D. A couple of papers just came out a few days ago, specifically about vitamin D and COVID-19 cases. And again, it seems that, as I already mentioned, the less vitamin D you have in your system, the more you lack it, the more you're going to get sick, the more severe the case of COVID-19 is going to be. So vitamin D foods, in most sources, you will hear about salmon. Well, besides the sun, by the way, guys, if you want to get your vitamin D from sun, you need to be, for a fair skin, the darker the skin, the more you need to spend time in the sun to get your vitamin D, guys, if you didn't know that. So if you're dark-skinned person, then you need to be out in the sun more. For a fair-skinned person like myself, you need to be outside, exposing a lot, like bigger areas of your skin, like your whole arms, your face, some of your legs. You don't have to go naked, but your skin, big areas of your skin got to be exposed to sun. So you need to spend in the sun 3-4 times a week for 15-20 minutes during the day. That seems to be a good amount covering your vitamin D requirements. But back to food, because a lot of us not going to do that for one reason or the other. So in a lot of sources, you can hear that salmon will give you 5 to 8 ounces, depending whether that's wild salmon that tends to have more vitamin D or farmed salmon that tends to have less vitamin D. You're going to need that for a daily amount of vitamin D. Herring is much better source, guys, 3-4 ounces, and you're going to get about 140% of your vitamin D. But even better, cod liver or cod liver oil. If you take 100 grams, for example, of cod liver that I eat once a week, usually once in 10 days, then you're going to get 10 days supply of your vitamin D. And because our body is also able to store our to store vitamin D in our fat tissue, we can eat it once in 10 days. You can even eat like, a lot of cod liver and supply yourself with like 20-day amount of vitamin D in quite small portion of food, but it's a lot of fat, so your digestive system might be not that comfortable with eating all that fat at once, especially if you are not on a higher fat diet. But I would definitely, what I do with my parents, I actually buy them and make sure that they eat every week a can of cod liver oil that is about 3 ounces. So once a week, I make sure that they eat it, and that supplies them with a weekly, 7-10 day supply of vitamin D, about 3 weeks supply of vitamin A, and about like 20 days to a month supply of omega-3 fatty acids. But because omega-3 fatty acids, there is never too much, and from whole foods at least, and because vitamin A and D, there is no toxicity from whole foods, I just make sure they eat it once a week for simplicity. My parents, because statistics show that older people tend to have it the worst when it comes to COVID-19. So my throat, it shows me that I've been talking too much. Anyhow, guys, the vitamin D is especially important, and the best source is cod liver and cod liver oil. That's what you can find in supplements. That is also rich not just in vitamin D, but also vitamin A and omega-3 fatty acids. Herring is an amazing source. Just make sure you're not getting it in some sunflower, safflower, or canola oil, because those are not great for health at all. Or salmon, wild salmon, the best for vitamin D when it comes to red fish or salmon. Wild is better than farmed, but you gotta eat it like every day to get vitamin D from it. And that's about it, guys. Nutrients that most Americans are deficient in, and most of the world actually too, especially the ones that are crucial for our immune system. If you want to learn more how to eat all the essential nutrients from simple foods, from simple recipes daily, join my completely free streaming, it means it's not going to be recorded, Zoom course, where every week, an hour a week, every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, we're going to come together and learn how to eat all these essential nutrients from simple foods and simple recipes and simple meals and balanced diet. So a link to sign up for this course and be a part of it is going to be in the show notes today. So join, guys, and learn how to eat those essential nutrients for life, not just for yourself, but for people you love and you take care of. Especially if you are a parent, learn how to eat your vitamins and minerals essential for our human health, not just for yourself, but also to give this knowledge to your kids, because they will need it too. Share this episode with other people so they do too eat all the vitamin D and all the nutrients that a lot of people are deficient in, and a lot of those nutrients are crucial for our immune system and our whole body health, of course. So share, join my course, the link is in the show notes. And guys, till next time, eat some vitamin D for me from cod liver or salmon or herring. Thank you, guys, and eat better daily.